Hi, everyone. This is Jackie Cooper with the Blockchain Legal Institute. Today, we are going to be talking about the BLI Legal Tech Hackathon, which we're very excited to be launching on Dorahacks. We have three protocols that are sponsoring the hackathon, and today I have Story on, and we're going to be telling their story. So I'm really excited because I only learned about them when I went to some of the conferences, and I know that that's a challenge. A lot of times there are some really great protocols out there, and you always find them until you kind of stumble on them. Jacob, how are you doing today?
I'm good. How are you, Jacqueline? Thanks for having me on.
Yeah, so you guys became a sponsor of the BLI Legal Tech Hackathon. Why
Yep.
don't you share a little bit more about who Story is and the type of developers that are really attracted to build on Story and the kind of projects that you see going on in your community?
For sure. So I'll give you a background on how sort of story got started and where we are today. So our two co-founders, S.Y. Lee, he's our Korean co-founder. He's been in the IP space for a long time. He actually studied IP and law at Oxford. He had a startup during that time called Byline, where he, was sort of recognizing that this sort of advertisement revenue model for creators was collapsing, where in the old days, you would sort of go to a website and, that's how the writers, like, for example, the New York Times were getting paid was by getting clicks through Google and getting paid through advertisements. But that model is collapsing as people sort of now transition towards AI content, right? Where they go to ChatGPT and ask for a summary, and no one's visiting the website anymore. After that startup, he ended up getting into a new startup called Radish Fiction. This was like a digital sort of platform on the smartphone that kind of had the thesis that people wanted short, bite-sized content on their phones, with sort of like a cliffhanger at the end of it. And he actually ended up selling that for $500 million to Katao, and but after that, didn't really feel like he had solved the IP problem that he wanted to solve. And so then he actually started Story, and the purpose of Story was to sort of address this issue between IP and law, where again, sort of AI is synthing all this creator content on the internet, but no one's getting paid for it. And so this revenue model for creators is collapsing. And our other co-founder, Jason Zhao, was the youngest PM at Google DeepMind, and he was doing a lot of AI research there, and wanted to. His greatest interest is sort of taking research and making it practical and making consumer products out of it. And so he wanted to create, sort of consumer products out of AI. And so, the two of these together sort of came to be Story. And over the last couple of years, we've been really working to create this, programmable IP layer where, much like how sort of blockchain made money programmable by making programmable money, we want to do the same for intellectual property to allow people to register their IP, add license terms to it in a matter of seconds without having to deal with complex legal processes that an average creator like me would have no idea how to do that. And in fact, many AI companies don't know how to do that either, and thus they're not doing it. So that's sort of like the background and where we are today.
How did you get involved?
So I actually got involved. I was studying blockchain at university. I was in a club. I actually went to Northwestern University in Chicago. And one summer, I was looking for like an internship or job experience, just to my first sort of thing. And I got an email from a club to join a blockchain hackathon. I was like, this is kind of cool. So I took a couple courses over the summer and ended up creating like a capstone project out of that, and got my first Web3 experience. One thing led to another, and I ended up joining the Flow blockchain and worked as a sort of developer ecosystem growth there for a few years, and worked with the head DevRel and current president of Story Foundation at Flow, along with our previous head of growth. And so they kind of convinced me to come on and join Story. And what really interested me about Story was the fact that at Flow, we were building a sort of general build blockchain that was just under the sort of like the vibes of like building the future of consumer products, but it was too broad and too abstract, I think, to really catch consumer interest. And what Story did or said to me was that we're solving a specific problem. We're solving the problem of intellectual property, the fact that it's hard to register, it's hard to monetize, and creators are today getting or at least they're missing out on massive amounts of revenue. And we're seeing that across all media platforms. I mean, Elon Musk the other day tweeted out, delete all IP law, right? And that was a crazy sort of like a social phenomenon and something that we're directly addressing, right? The fact that these big AI sort of corporations are trying to sort of get rid of IP law because it's easy for them, right? And I could talk about that for hours, but that's sort of how I got convinced to join Story.
No, I love it. What I also love is that within our community, we're talking about others. You talked about flow, and I just discovered flow, at another conference. So there's a lot of cross community, just like there's cross chains.
Yep.
I know for our hackathon, for what Story's doing, our bounty is 2,000, and I love it. And for those that are just kind of looking at stepping into the BLI Legal Tech Hackathon, we're going live. The projects can be submitted all the way to the end of October, and then we're going to have the judging in November, December, with the release at the end of December. What kind of projects are you hoping that might be created within your protocol and the community?
Definitely. So I'll be happy to give all you builders some ideas for our bounty. So I believe our bounty is, you're right, $2,000. We have two prizes under like best legal tech IP tool. This is for any sort of like, let's say, front end application, like a ChatGPT interface where they're registering outputs from AI as intellectual property on Story. Or another idea would be to register the training data as IP, right? So when let's say you create a AI model, allowing that AI model to properly register and pay back to the training data that it's actually training on, so that when someone, let's say, pays for a subscription to that LLM to produce images, it's then paying some of that revenue back to the original training data so that creators don't lose out on that revenue. And I think the second track that we have is sort of like a best dispute tool. So the ability to create an application or service or whatever it is to allow someone to flag if an IP is infringing on their work. And this is something that's directly supported in our protocol. So we want sort of developers to go out there and try and use it. Or to create some sort of like attestation service where anytime an IP is registered, to put a stamp on it or a certain level of approval that that IP is valid and not infringing on other people's work. So those are the two tracks and some ideas you can play around with.
Yeah, for sure. And, also with anyone who's registering as a developer, if you have a need, we definitely will. Each protocol has tech help. So you're not, doing this on your own. There's definitely learning. I know, where would they go on your platform to kind of learn more about? I know you have a lot of education.
Yeah, so first and foremost, we have our documentation at docs.story.foundation. That's sort of the first go-to if you have a question, check out the docs. If you want to talk to me, you can always join our Discord at discord.gg/storybuilders. And I'm always in there talking to builders about whether if they have technical questions, if you want to talk through an idea to win one of these bounties. I'll also be, sort of involved in the judging process. So yeah, very, very happy to give advice and tech help if you need in our Discord.
Yeah, this is going to be a very hands-on project. I know that we're excited to have, everyone register and take the first step into our community. I know I'm not technically a coder, but I'm really interested in learning. So I might take a stab at it too, even though because I'm part of this, I know I can't win anything. That'd be a conflict of interest. I definitely want to learn more about what you guys are doing. So this helps me with my vocabulary building, and being a lawyer, I also have some ideas as to what's needed too. So you guys can reach out to me and we can brainstorm. So any other last minute thoughts that you'd like to share? And for those that are listening, also all the links and everything will be in the blog below. So definitely, don't worry, you'll be able to reach out and connect with all of us. But any last minute?
Definitely. No, I think we covered it. Again, if you have any questions or you want to talk through a product idea, please join our Discord, and I'll be happy to help you out. We have a lot of ecosystem projects that are already building on stories. You can definitely pull some ideas from them. Or if you want to get connected with some projects that are already live, we can also do that as well. So any help you need, just join the Discord.
Yep, everyone. So definitely go to bli.tools. You can register through theirs to the Dorahacks, but I know I'll be posting a lot on LinkedIn and Twitter and all the other socials. So there won't be any problems with you finding how to register and then take your first step. Or if you've already been in our community, try to win. Anyway, and also, a lot of the tools that you're going to be doing has commercial value, and you could actually be creating something that is going to be helping. So it's not just about the bounties, it's actually next steps and solving a problem.
Yep, absolutely. Yeah, projects that compete in this hackathon, whether or not you win a prize, if you want to continue building it, absolutely, you should do that. And we also do support some ecosystem projects with long-term support, whether that be a small grant helping you to, market yourself on Twitter, get initial, community incentives going for people to try out your product, whatever it may be. So don't get discouraged if you may not win a prize. If you're really interested in your idea, we'd love to talk through it.
Yeah, and piggybacking on that, for the developers that are within this hackathon, I definitely want to learn more about your personal story and share out your journey as well, because you are inspiring to us and you are also going to be inspiring others. And so that's what the community is all about. So everyone, thank you so much for hopping on, and reach out to us. We'd love to have you part of it. Bye.
Thanks, everybody.